Hi, Crafty Nanny Cola here, and yesterday we made this little gnome, and today we're making this little gnome. So we've improved a little and figured some things out. So without further ado, here's what you'll need. Legs, you will need fabric, and I cut this I cut this, these are approximately 2 by 2. And then the little shoes I got on Amazon. They came in a package like this. I already used on this one. I used one pair. And they come, I think there's five in there, and they're like $11.99. You will need a hex nuts, 2 hex nuts, 1 for each shoe. I already put one in this shoe here. You will need fake fur for the beard. I put that clip on because it keeps blowing away because it's very hot here. For the body, you will need a piece of fabric approximately 12 by 2.5 inches. You will need a cylinder styrofoam stick, and I got these at Amazon, and they come like this. And I got a whole box of them because that's all. I looked for them at Dollar Tree, and I looked for them at Hobby Lobby and Michael's, Walmart. Could not find them, so I did have to send to get them at Amazon. And I just have this stick in here right now because, as you can see, it's blowing around. So you will need this is a half bead, and it's a 15 millimeter. And you will need a 3-inch straw hat, and I got that at Hobby Lobby. And then you can get some embellishments if you want to embellish the hat, or give your little gnome. You can also put the embellishments in his hands by bending his hands. So one thing I did do yesterday was I put too much raffia inside of his arms, so that made the pipe cleaners not bend. Okay, we are ready to start our scarecrow gnome. And I have taken all of the fabric, and I really, as if you watched my other video, you will realize that I don't care much for glue. So I took it and I zigzagged the edges on all my pieces, and then I burnt these edges. As you can see, it's actually kind of burnt there, but we won't see that. It'll be covered by the hat and the beard. So we want to start with the body, and like I said, I just have this in here so it doesn't roll so much, and it's easier to do. So I am going to start with the glue gun. I take this off. It's easier, and just along the edge. And you want the hemmed edge at the bottom. You have to get rid of all these strings again. Okay, and then just along the way, a few, you can just start wrapping it up. And you can have it overhang a little bit at the edge there. I used the flattest edge at the bottom here. This isn't going right at the bottom edge there where I want it. This could have been just a little bit longer, it looks like. I'll probably just cut that off the top. So roll that, and then just continue to glue here and there. and then get some good glue on the edge. And then that's going to be the back. So there we have it rolled up. Could have cut it a little bit longer. I'm just going to cut that top off quick with a knife. Cut it on the paper here. By the way, this Raffia really makes a mess. If you do have the silicone mats, I would suggest not putting the Raffia on there. I had a terrible time yesterday trying to get it off. The glue doesn't stick, but it seems like everything else does stick. All this foam and everything likes to stick to it. It does come off, but you've got to really kind of work at it to get it off. So there is the cylinder. I'm going to leave that in there so it quits rolling everywhere. Okay, now we'll work on our other leg. So what we're going to do is we're first going to put our little washer inside here, and you want to get that down into the toe, so you can use that, or I also have the popsicle stick here that I use. And as you can see, you always want to put your seams to the back, so that'll fit right in there. Okay, so we want to make sure that our seam, and I made a little mark, and this is at about 1 1/4 that I'm going to stick into the styrofoam here. So whichever side you use, just make sure that you just lay the little mark that you made right at the end there. And I'm just going to put a line of glue there, and then just lay my mark right on the end, and then I know exactly where I'm at. So we want to try to get both legs, you know, to be about the same, and that one is pretty skinny. You can make those a little fatter if you want. All you need to do is cut it a little bit longer on the side that you're going to roll. And then just hold that so that it gets really good. I decided not to put any of the Raffia because it would just cover up the cute tennis shoes. So there we have those two, and then we're just going to glue those inside the shoe. So we're just going to open up, it has the little tongues and everything in these shoes. So pull so you don't get a bunch of glue all over your shoe strings. And just fill up the bottom and the back with the glue. Like I said, try not to get that, and make sure your seam's to the back. There you go. And then do the same thing with the other one. Try to hold all of that out of your way. Those washers are heavy enough to keep the shoe keep the little gnome standing up. Part of it is the string is getting a hold of it. So we'll let those dry for a minute, and we'll do the hands. Okay, we only need about a 1/2 inch, so you could probably use one pipe cleaner to make 3 arms. So 2 pipe cleaners would make 6, and that would give you an even number. So make sure your hemmed edge is at the bottom, and you want that flush with the pipe cleaner. So we're gonna go ahead and glue that pipe cleaner, and then we'll put the raffia on. The smoother you can get your glue, the less bumpy you will have your and I just did that on the wrong side, sorry. Just pull it off if you have to. Okay, so we want that on the side that's not hemmed. And with the pipe cleaners, you should be able to bend the arms. So when we put the raffia in here, I couldn't, on the one I made yesterday, I couldn't bend the arms because of the, because I put too much raffia in it. So I'm going to try to do it a little bit different today. And you don't need too much of it. And just keep cutting them smaller like that. This is probably enough to glue in, so I'm just going to glue just a little bit in there, right next to the pipe cleaner. And I'm just going to have it, and then I'll use my popsicle stick to hold it in there. Back together here. This stuff is not the easiest thing in the world to work with. I know when I made my great-granddaughter's Wizard of Oz costume, and I got some stuff at Hobby Lobby that was made out of fabric like fringe, and that looked just fine, and it worked out great. But these pieces like this are kind of annoying. I'm not sure if other people, if there's some other kind of that comes in little bundles or something, but I didn't see any when I was at Hobby Lobby's. So we got strings here, which is pulling everything every which way again. And wrapped around the cord. Okay, let's see. Maybe put one more or so on each one. Put a little bit more glue, make sure that it all stays in there. Okay, now we'll start winding it up. Rolling it up, actually, not winding it up. It's not a jack-in-the-box. Are turning out a little bit fatter than the shoes did. So I would add maybe a little bit more. I cut those pant legs approximately 2.5 by 1.5. So I would seeing this part, the vertical part is the 2.5. I would cut the other at least 2.5 too. That's my dogs barking at nothing again. The wind. Love to bark at the wind. We want to take the shoes, and you want to take your little laces and your tongue, and you want to kind of put them back together, and it just goes into the little hole. Little shoestring just goes into the hole. Might want to glue that tongue to the pants. Just a little drop. I wouldn't put too much there. Yeah, that's a little better. And now it looks a little better. And the shoestrings are going to be a little bit loose. Glue that in there, and then this was just the opposite of the other ones, had it in the other way. Let's shove that down in there. You can use one of these sticks. It fits right into the hole. Those skewers, so you can see how small these skewers are. I do have the skewers here, but it doesn't say what millimeter around or anything they are. Okay, now we want to cut these with the wire cutters to approximately maybe 3/4 to an inch. So it's about here. I think I'm going to do a whole inch. Thanks to the good old strings. And just measure your other one up to that one. We're not going to go in too far, obviously, because we have a very small cylinder, styrofoam cylinder here. Okay, next we're gonna put, let's go ahead and put the legs in next. Okay, so we want to make sure we have so I just take the pointy end of one of the skewers, and because you want to make sure that the back seam is here. Make a hole on each side, close to the edge, but not quite to the edge. And stick them in there, your little feet, and make sure that's where you want them. This one's going to be a little bit taller, it looks like. also leaning a little bit of front there, but nothing I can do about it now. Make sure that you're this one's going a little bit sideways, so I'm going to have to see what I got here. Oh yeah, that's better. It's kind of leaning forward though. That's okay. Okay, we are putting here. And then just fill the hole with glue and a little bit around it. Put a little bit around so the pants hit it, and then make sure that you, in case you have any adjustments. You can use 3-gauge wire for this, which I think I probably will get, because I think it would be a little bit easier, because then you can do a little bit of bending on the bottom. This one is leaning a little bit forward. Okay, next we need to put our hands in, so that the hands are a little bit long. Now these hands are 2 3/4, so maybe 2 1/2 might be a little bit better. So we're going to we want to make sure the hands are that the hands are adjacent with the feet. So I'm going to make again with the skewer. So if you keep an end to the skewer, that will make those holes so that the pipe cleaners will go in there easier, and a little bit farther, which will make it a little bit better to keep them in. Before you glue them in, just check and make sure they're adjacent with your, this one looks longer. I guess they're the same. I'm going to cut just a little bit more because they're not all coming in, so I would say 3/4 is probably better than 1 inch. And you want to try to get your seams to the side of the gnome. Might have to work with this a couple of times. Make those holes a little bigger. There we go. Got it. Let's hope it's adjacent. Okay, so we want to move these so that when we bend it down, the seams are going to be towards the body. Looks pretty good. Looks like it's pretty even, so I'm going to go ahead and glue those in. And you can just have them out to the side like this too. They are going to go down some because the hat's going to push them down. Okay, next we're going to throw on the beard. So get your brush. I did get this fake fur at Amazon, but I'm not crazy about it. I like my old fur better. I don't know if they just don't make good fur anymore. I used to do a lot of stuffed animals, make a lot of stuffed animals. I sold them when I was, when my children were little, and for gifts and stuff, and the fur was extremely cheap back then, and so I didn't have any problem making all those animals. And it actually got cold too around Halloween back then. In the 70s and 80s, it got nice and cold on Halloween, so you could wear, we used to have like them, I used to make them like pajamas out of flannels and stuff like that. So here's it with the beard. And then now hopefully these arms bend a little better. And still don't see that they're bending all that well with that pipe, even with the pipe cleaner. It's funny because I've used them on crocheted dolls that I make, and I'm going to cut some of this beard because like I said, I don't like this all that much, but when you do it, just kind of curve it around a little bit. You could bring it to a point if you want, or do whatever you want, and then just let it down. Okay, now we need to put the raffia around the head. So we want just small pieces, and we're going to cover it all the way around. And we have a beard sticking up here. This glue strings just grabs everything. Yeah, I'm thinking that there must be some other raffia, because the stuff that I saw in other videos was a lot straighter than what this is. This is all curly. So I'm going to cut this smaller. Yeah, I'm not crazy about the way it's curling like that. But I guess it's made, it's natural stuff, so it's nature, so it'll do whatever. Here I told you to keep it off of here, and here I'm putting it back on here, and I'm going to have a heck of a time getting it off. Hopefully this video won't be as long as the last one was. Hard to get it around that arm. Hopefully you can hear me now that I have the that I have it down here instead of I had it up. This raffia stuff might be better for like a hay bed or something, or using and cutting up and using inside of maybe a one of those tin little barrels and stuff that you see at the store. basically all year round. They're metal, like look like cow, what the cows drink out of, I can't think of what, troughs. So there's a lot of it around the back there. Need a little bit more around the front still. You don't want too awful much around the front, but do want it around the sides still, because it will hang through the hat. I don't think that goes quite anymore. Trying to find some little thicker pieces. Some of these are really, really thin. Hope this little guy stands up. I don't know if those particular hex nuts were heavy enough, as heavy as the other ones were. Okay, get all your strings off. And we're ready for the hat. The hat goes the other way. So you want the longer, there is a longer and a shorter. So just fill the inside with the glue. Now we'll just cut his hair to where we want it. I'm mostly holding the back because we still have to put the little nose on. Still could have used more of that hair, Raffia on the hair. I'm just going to cut it before I put the nose on. I'm just going to cut it before I put the nose on. I don't think I said that very loud. Okay, now we need to put the nose right there. Let that dry for a minute, and then we're going to shove the hat down over part of the nose. I did have to do on the one yesterday, I did have to do a little bit of glue removing on the nose part. That's why I like the pointed hats on these. The pointed hat just fits over the nose, is great. So he's got a lot of Raffia in the back, not so much in the sides and the front. I wish I could get his arms to bend. There is kind of a little bit of a gap there too, and I didn't get the nose exactly the way it should have been in there, in the middle. And these hats aren't as easy to get to stick to the nose like the cone hats are. remember when I made the Coraline one, and I made the chauffeur's like hat, even though I guess it's a Japanese, actually a Japanese war hat, battle hat, but it looks like a chauffeur's hat to me. And when I made that, I had to make, I think, 3 of them before I got it right. So I was just making it up as I was going along. And there you have him with his hat. His hat's a little bit off here. No, it doesn't look, it looks off in the back, but not so much in the front. It's weird. But let's find a little embellishment for him and then we're done. I think these acorns are going to be too big. Would be cute for him to hold, but too big for his hat. So I said I wish I could get that it bent more so he could like hold it, but I don't think it's going to hold very well, but you could do something like that. These are pretty little though. This would work better with a little bit bigger one. This one is again upside down. No, that was right. So this one is about 5.5 inches, and that one's about 5. So he's just a little bit taller and a little bit skinnier. Okay, let's go with maybe a pumpkin on this one. Wish I had some smaller leaves. The leaves are too big too. Little pumpkin head. I think that's supposed to be the bottom. There we go. So say goodbye to the little scarecrow gnome. And if you like this video, please give it a like and then subscribe. It would be great. You have a wonderful day and be safe.